Yes, I can.
Yeah, we'll start and I think we'll join I think particular TRL we see, right? Things called process of innovation development, technology readiness level TRL, commercialization of lab technology and technology. So there, customer is an enterprise design manager with 40 plus years of experience in design, layout, and characterization of large IC circuits. Since 2020, he is the technical and execution lead at LTI. He received MS and PhD from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in 2016. He has worked on integrated instrumentation circuits for sensitive applications. He holds the longevity PhD from TED, King Consultants Education for Smart Design Thinking and Instrument Architecture. He also facilitates and guides the PhD aspirants. Since 2020, he leads a team of 26 colleagues and manage a team of 10 plus designers at Terminus Circuits Private Limited. From 2012 to 2016, he was a senior research fellow at Indian Institute of Science, working on integrated sensor interfaces. He has over 20 peer-reviewed journals and patent-related specifications to his credit. He has published patents too. He is also an active thinker and motivator. His passion is high-speed interface design thinking, entrepreneurship, research methodologies, and article writing, and spirit of entrepreneurship. He is a senior member of IEEE since 2016, and he was inducted into IEEE Interpapal Society of IEEE for academic excellence. Now I request Dr. Javed to enlighten us on the topic what things to talk on process of development technology readiness level, commercialization of lab technologies and technology. Over to you, Dr. Javed.
Thank you, Dr. Swapnil, for such a wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to collaborate on the Institute Innovation Council and MHRD's activity at Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering. So I'll be glad to take you through a short journey on what are these four aspects. So in brief, what we will be covering today are topics called translational research, where you would begin with an innovation development, understand what is technology readiness levels, then see what kind of products can get commercialized from the lab technology, and finally leading to a technology transfer. So let's begin with something called the innovation life cycle, and that will lead to technology readiness level. Innovation life cycle has got four parts, and each of them has a different phase in time. The first one is where you are building the technology, and typically it is only containing the innovators. Second is when you look at product mode, where you build this technology, build a product, and make it for the market and introduce it into the market. So that is your adopters or your products. Third is when once the product is a little bit more established inside the market, you build a platform for it, and that platform becomes your early majority group, which leads it. So this is called a platform innovation. Finally, once the platform is built, you are looking at sustaining it for a very long period and ensuring that percolates into the market. That is called your sustainability zone, where you are looking at customer intimacy and operational excellence. So these are the typical points of an innovation life cycle. Now, once you have an innovation life cycle, you need to understand what is the technology life cycle. There is a very good correlation between the innovation and the technology life cycle. There are two kinds of parameters that you typically look when you are working on either the technology life cycle. One is the potential of competition and the risk level. Other one is the amount of maturity level that it has reached. So if you see, the maturity level is lowest during the emerging phase, where there is a risk is higher. As the maturity increases, that means as the growth increases and the risk level starts reducing, you start growing. When the risk level kind of tapers down to a very narrow point, you see that the mature innovation and the technology has reached the mature phase. After the mature phase, rather than declining phase, you would actually call this as a saturation phase or a stable phase. The declining is regarding the risk level that you would see. That you would see maximum risk is out of the picture, and you have a very high competition and competitiveness, and you take it from there. Once you understand the technology life cycle, comes the importance of what is your readiness level or your technology readiness level. So to understand technology readiness level, you start again giving an example. You start from having the papers about it, file patents regarding a technology, ensure that news regarding that technology spreads. So once that is happening, you enter the technology life cycle phase, where you see that you can build the maturity in the product as you go from low maturity to sustainability phase. In that, you pass through the various phases of technology readiness level, where it becomes from TR0 typically to TR9. TR0 is both at an initial phase where you are kind of exploring the object, and then you hit a place where the POC is developed, all the way through where you can do sustainable marketing and market penetration. So, to give you a quick understanding, we will spend a little more time on understanding what are the technology readiness levels in the form of the innovation chain. The innovation change basically means when you start from the TR1 on the far left to going to the TR9 on the far right. What are these areas? And we will also explain or correlate where is the knowledge development and where is the technology development coming, and what are the various contributions expected from the academia, the industry, and the various other bodies supporting that particular ecosystem. First thing you have to understand is you will try and build a basic technology research. So this phase begins from TR1 all the way to TRL3, where you are understanding the influences of all of these. Once the TR1 reaches to TR2 phase, you will start exploring, can you explore the feasibility of market? And that is when you will work from a good overlap between technology research and feasibility between TR2 and TR3. Once you hit the, when you are able to prove the feasibility, you will look at demonstrating. And the demonstration work is where you are looking for partners, you are engaging into various other ecosystem partners for you, and also raising money to get the investment into the funds. So typically what you see is at an academic level or at an institute level, the innovation and everything is more on developing the knowledge about it and creating a proof of concept such that the technology development partners can come in and scale it. So this is where the academia will hand off to the ecosystem partners. So knowledge development happens till about 3 stages, TRL1 to TRL3. Then you build the technology development starting from TRL4 to TRL6. This is where you have your technology development coming in, technology partners, finance, legal, understanding the market survey, understanding what is the demand in the market, to see can you build the technology, can you scale it, can you refine it. So once you are able to refine it, you will be able to understand how to take things. So the way you look at it is technology demonstration will come, and then you start building on the prototypes. So the prototype stage is your TRL5 and TRL6 when the prototype development happens. This is where you need intense collaboration with your technical partners, and right now you are at the phase where POC is developed, the product market survey is done, understanding your revenue streams is built, a business model needs to be developed at that phase where you are going to hand it off to business development team, or typically do a technology transfer. Technology transfer comes where you have proven that this technology works, you have identified that there is a demand in the industry, and then you will pass it on to an industry partner would probably take it and scale it up and ensure that revenue is generated using this. So this is called your business development. It is at this place that you have to do a pilot plan. You have to work on your scale up strategies. Then comes your market launch and complete commercialization. So you start from the academia, then begin with the collaboration with the industry and other technology development partners, and then you come to the industry. These technology development partners play a very key role, and this is right now has a very prominent place. So this could be one of your incubators that you might have in your incubation centers, where you would incubate them, where they would give you support for finance support, they would give you infrastructure support, they will give you compute support, and ensure that you are able to do this. So this is the innovation chain that you work typically. Now let us look about the importance of investment in innovation. So the investment of innovation comes into three pictures. One is your initial investment, where an academia typically works with a grant or a project grant and builds that. So once you build it, that is when you have to develop a proof of concept. That is when it hits the valley of death. Typically, this is the place where the product market fit and scale up strategies are evaluated. So you have to do a proof of concept. You should do a technology validation in the lab, and then come up with a technology validated in a relevant environment, and finally demonstrate it. So once you successfully cross levels 4, 5 and 6, then comes your scale up, when you do your system prototype and scale. Typically, most of your technology, if not done correctly, die down in this valley. Okay, and you understand. Now, if you encounter that one of your projects has sit into this valley of readiness, what could you do? You could try and see what can you do and what can you understand. So this is where we call the challenge basically, where the philosophy is there that you have good resources both at the inventing phase and the commercializing phase, but you really need a lot of resources in the development phase, in the challenge phase. What do? You try and see, can you get an additional technology push further inside. Once you're able to get the technology push, you can see that the innovation ecosystem will try and support your infrastructure development. So your resource value will slightly go up. And once you're slightly going up, you would try and get an initial technology pull by pulling in all your technology partners and all the existing commercialization resources to back you up. When you back it, you try and reduce the time from the market to the technology pool and build the commercialization activities. So at this phase, you move from inventing to commercialization. This is a time intensive, money intensive and documentation intensive phase, because once you beat this mark, you are very ready to hit the market and you are in a very aggressive manner challenging the market, going into attention and ensuring that you get a lot more customer value and you are able to propose customer value. So once, like we mentioned, that there is a valley of death. Once the valley of death is proved, meaning you have a proof of concept that is demonstrated in a similar lab, that is when the startup industry starts growing. It is at this place that you engage with startups or you build your own startup and you start looking at co-founders, investors, angel investors, VCs who are trying to invest into their work, where they are trying to get into the market. So what you do is, once the proof of concept is done, once you exit the valley of death, you are typically breaking even. And to come out of this valley of death, typically you need a seed capital. This is where incubators play a really good role. Having a good incubator with a solid understanding of technology and understanding what is the time that is needed to develop this technology is working. Here is when you have equity crowdfunding and you have a lot of lending which is happening. Once you do that and once you break even and understand that your concept is right, you come through the first rounds of early stage financial raising. Okay, round 1, seed A fund or the initial funding. These are the terms that are probably used here. Once you have these funds and you're reaching up, you would go with your round 2 of funds or your seed B funds or your leveraging, understanding what is the early stage